Okay, so I feel like I've always kind of been into it. When I was younger, I feel like my family kind of, since I was the oldest kid, they were like, hey, like, take this picture, like, for the family. So I ended up being like the designated selfie arm with my friends. Like, I was always taking pictures at the family function. And then eventually, like, I met a friend who had a real camera, and I was just like, oh, like, we should take pictures, you know? And she just lived in this, like, she lived in a suburb that had a really big forest, like kind of in the area. So we would just go in the forest and just like take pictures all the time. And after that, I was like, you know what? Let me get into this for real. So see, this is one of them questions. Okay, I it changes over time, like with like how I'm feeling about like where I'm trying to go creatively. As of lately, there are a few photographers on Instagram that aren't like, you know, historical photographers, but they're like just people that I'm getting inspiration from. There's this one guy, his name is Belandis. He's a photographer from Detroit. He kind of just takes pictures of like, you know, like just like where he's from, like the hood, the streets, but it's like, it's gorgeous. It's very black. Um, there's this woman named Jade Lilly. There's this man named Dennis Elliott. Um, there's this guy named Scotty Wilson. I have Scotty. Um, there's this guy, Tyler Mitchell. And then the last one is Christopher Mars. They're all black, some of them queer. Like that's basically, you know, the direction I'll be going in, like just the blacks and the queers. Like that's, yeah. And, you know, younger. So starting out, I would definitely recommend, I would say like, I think a good starter camera would be the Canon Rebel. Maybe like the T6i, Canon T6i, just because it has like a flash. It is like a DSLR. You're able to change your lenses out. You're able to kind of, you know, just get a feel for what it's like working with like, you know, like the type of cameras that people will use professionally, but it's also kind of good for the pockets. It also has a flash, so that's a good one, I would say. The camera that I currently shoot with the most is the Canon 6D Mark II. And then also I've been getting into film photography and just using like point and shoot cameras as well. The factors that go into finding the perfect shooting location, for me, it really depends on what we're trying to shoot, or what my client wants to do for the day. Um, I prefer going to places that have a lot of colors. I love going out into nature and like, you know, like I love floral things. I love, you know, water. I love cityscapes. So I usually end up going to like areas around Chicago where I live at, and shooting in like the nature, the setup nature areas that are near the city. So you can kind of get the city in the background, but then still get like the foliage and you get cool close-ups and stuff like that. My favorite location to shoot at, that's hard. I would definitely say so far, the favorite place I guess that I've been on a shoot at would be Lower Wacker Drive in Chicago. Just because it's so, if you've been to Chicago and you know, like it's just so expansive and it's huge and it's like underground, but it's not, and the lighting is really cool. So I would say there for sure. So yeah, so camera angles are extremely important, and this isn't just for professional photography. This is also for like Instagram or like just like, you know, if you're trying to take a selfie, it could be anything. I definitely feel like, I don't know if y'all, I'm sure everybody has kind of seen this, but like if you have like an older family member or something and they're taking like a selfie and they do it from way down here and you know, you can see all up in their nose and it's just unflattering. Like, so I definitely would say, depending on what you're trying to do, like you really want to think about those angles. I think for lower angles, for instance, they can be used to make your subject look taller. I think I found with a lot of women, they like to be shot from lower angles just because, you know, they may want to go for like the slender, like taller Model S look. Lower angles also can give you like a distortion if you're using a wider angled lens. A lot of iPhones now have the wide angle lenses. So if you were to take that angle and go lower, it'll make your subject look a lot longer. Like it'll make their legs distort. It'll give you more of the background behind them. Like you'll be able to see a lot more just of like everything that's going on. If you were to use an upward angle, it's definitely going to make or like if you were to shoot from above, it'll make your subject look a bit shorter. It'll make them look smaller, which is cool, but it also depends on what you're trying to do, right? So like if you were trying to go for a more creative thing, shooting them from above can definitely make them feel like they're less in power. It can make them look, like it can give the feeling of like entrapment. It could be intimate. Like it could be like, they're looking up at something, they're looking out into something, and then also when it comes to like, like doing a closer shoot, like the angles definitely do matter. Definitely coming from the side can give a really good profile shot. You can get, the jawline. You could get, you can get like a kind of duality with like lighting and stuff like that, which could give, like a mysterious look, but then it could also add some, drama and contrast into your, your subject. And then also, obviously just like straight on close up, that's going to be really intimate. It's going to be really powerful. You're going to see, the red in their eyes. You're going to see all the detail in their skin and stuff like that, which is not always the best. Not everybody wants to be seeing their clothes, but that definitely is, a really good thing if you're trying to get like an intimate, like up close and personal portrait as well. When it comes to lighting is debatably the most important thing for photography, I feel. Because sometimes people are like, oh, like I don't think I have a good enough camera, or like I don't think my pictures are coming out the way I want them to. And like I think like 9 times out of 10, it's just about the lighting that you have. You can really make any camera, work for you if you have good lighting. And if you have a great camera and you don't have good lighting, like it may not even, you won't be able to, show it for what it's worth. It won't get that full quality that you're looking for. I think with lighting, it can change the mood of a space. It can make a space feel otherworldly. It can make it feel very natural. You can convey so much through lighting that you like without having to tell your audience or your viewer what you're trying to say, you can put that through your lighting. Like if you're trying to be like, hey, like this is really somber, this is really sad, you're going to want to put them in low dramatic lighting. If you want to be like, oh, this is really happy, this is my graduation, this is my wedding, like you're going to want to put them in bright, fun, warm light. You know what I'm saying? If you want to be like, oh, if you wanted to convey, like, say for instance, like if you're taking a picture, you don't know what temperature really is for the most part. Like if you wanted to be like, it's the dead of winter, like you're going to want to go for some bluer, colder light, so just really lighting, it can just do so much for your photography. And this can be with your phone, this can be with anything. So definitely take into account, is the light warm? Is it cold? Are you doing color? Are you going to do flat? Yeah. And then definitely when it comes to natural versus artificial lighting, for me, it really just depends on what you're doing. I'm not going to say one is better or worse, because I shoot with both equally as often. I think for like editorial studio type things, for branding, for online content, I definitely think you have a lot more control with artificial light, and you can use it to get your desired, outcome more easily. Natural light obviously is going to be, most people prefer that, but it's persnickety. Like you never know what you're going to get. It can be really intense. It could change really quick, and it, despite like how everyone's like, oh, natural lighting's everything, like it can make your subject look really crunchy, I guess. Like, you can get, sometimes the light is so good and it's so intense, like you're seeing a bit too much, you're getting too many shadows, you're seeing, the shadows under their eyes, you're seeing all their acne, you're seeing every pore, like, so you really want to, think about what it is you're trying to go for, how intense the light is, and like, just like what the mood is, you know what I'm saying? When it comes to posing, for me, I think as a photographer, this is my weak suit. I'm gonna be honest with you. And I think in part that's because I often work with unexperienced models, just because I more so do like, I have a lot of just like clients that are just, you know, regular people. A lot of times people will come in, this will be their first shoot, you know, ever in life, so they're like, oh, I don't know what to do. So it can be difficult. I try to, you know, I use this thing where I try to get them to create triangles when they pose. So like crossing your legs, folding your arms, opening your legs, you know, like that can kind of help to make a pose look more comfortable. Like, you know, like if you see like the triangle right here, this is a cool, you know, like stuff like that. So try to look for triangles. Or you know what, and this is the easiest thing, Pinterest and Instagram. Find some people that you like, find some poses and just copy them until you start to feel comfortable. Or even sometimes I'll get a full body mirror and I'll just put it out. So for people who are feeling a little bit uncomfortable, so that way they can really like see themselves, which can be a good or bad thing. But sometimes, you know, it helps. Like you can like, oh, okay, like this is what I'm doing. Or like, let's try this. Let's put on some music so that, you know, you can kind of get loose. Sometimes I'm like, listen, let's take a shot before we do this photo shoot. So, you know, we can loosen it up and just get into it. But yeah, it just depends, honestly. But posing is difficult. Like, you know, never sleep on models, because that is, you know, knowing your angles is not easy to do, because I don't even know mine. I'm more inclined to portraits. Like that's my thing. You know, like I've done like the scenery thing, and like I love scenery photographers. I'm just not one of them. But you know, like I try to do portraits, even if I veer away from, you know, just doing really stage portraits. Like it's always like it's still like a candid portrait, or like it's like a portrait of someone, just like, you know, street way a street portrait, like of just somebody that I'm seeing. Like, but yeah, that's kind of just my thing for the most part. Oh my gosh, that's crazy. It would be so many people I would love to shoot with. Who would I shoot? Okay, I'm trying to pick somebody that's not like too easy, you know what I'm saying? Because I could be like Zendaya, but like, you know, like obviously it's gonna go well because she's Zendaya. Um, you know what? I would say I think Jeremy Pope. I don't know if y'all know who he is. He was in Hollywood on Netflix, and he's currently on season 3 of Pose. He's kind of newer on the scene, but his eyes are so intense to me, and he has such a cool look. He's black, he's queer, and you know, he fine. I'm gonna be honest. So I would love to shoot with him, and I feel like he does a lot of cool stuff with his clothes. And if I didn't do him, it would probably be, oh my gosh, I'm forgetting his name, but he plays Pray Tell on Pose. Because he, like, his aesthetic and the looks that he puts together, I feel like he can just do or wear whatever he wants. Billy Porter, I feel I'm tweaking. I would love to shoot with Billy Porter because yeah, I feel like he can do the masculine, he can do the feminine. He's just very, you know, like I just love his style. I love the looks that he puts on. You know, he's so ageless. Like, yeah, a shoe with him would be everything, actually. Okay, my favorite shoot. I actually have the picture right here. It's this one. So basically, I have a friend, they're not together no more, but at the time I had some friends who were dating. You see, this is why they silhouetted out so they can't, you know, be upset. But so I had some friends that were dating at the time, and you know, we were like, oh, like he was like, you're always shooting with everyone but me, like this is so crazy. And I was like, let's take pictures then. And so he's like, oh cool, like come over to my apartment like later on. And we went, and we didn't know what we were doing. We were supposed to go outside. It was cold as mess. Like it was like the dead of Chicago winter, so you know, it was like Antarctic outside. So we ended up going in his house, and I don't know if y'all know them little LED strip lights that everybody has that you could like stick on your wall. He had some, but he didn't ever put them up. So he was like, we can maybe just do something with this. And so I was like, oh, well, y'all just sit here, just kind of, you know, interact with each other, just, you know, be your natural couple-ish selves. And, you know, they were kind of sitting there, and I thought about it because the lights were in the back, and I was like, what if I wrap them around them, you know, to kind of be like, yeah, like there's, you know, like just like, what if the lights could just be like kind of like their love, you know what I'm saying? And so I wrapped it around them, and they just kind of, they were so close because the lights were not that long. He had the little cheap one. And so they were so close, and they started, you know, like kind of cuddling, kissing, and I was just capturing them, and like the wall was white. So like, you can kind of see like the light was just on the wall, and it just kind of like, I don't know, like it just really, I loved how it went, and it was so like last minute. It wasn't planned. It was just really natural, and it was just really like spur of the moment. And it ended up being like my most liked and my personal favorite shoot that I have. And there's like a few of them. It's kind of like a little series, but yeah, like, and that was it ended up being my first series. So yeah, like I love that one. For amateur photographers, it really depends on what your goal is with your photography, but my general advice would be definitely try to connect with your clients or with whomever you're shooting with every single time. Like, you know, like for one, it's gonna make the shoot go way better. And then for two, like you really can make friends. Like one of my favorite thing about shoots is that like I kind of end up becoming at least like light friends with almost everybody I shoot with, or like making a network or a connection. And then that also, that type of connection, if you make a connection with the person, they're gonna, you know, spread the word about you. Like they'll recommend you to somebody, they're gonna send somebody your page, you know, they're gonna be like, oh, like my, you know, my cousin's boyfriend's son's wife is gonna do, you know, a wedding, so like I recommended you. And that's gonna help you, you know, ultimately build your brand and like, you know, get some more exposure just like in the long run. And you know, if you're trying to make money from it, it'll also, you know, help you get more clients and book more gigs. So I would definitely say that. I would also say definitely take pictures. Don't forget to take pictures of yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like so many photographers I know don't have a single picture of themselves. Like, you know, it's like, so definitely do that for you. That also can be cool stuff to post. Like, you know, when you post online, like think of every post as like a way for you to also kind of like advertise yourself. Because you know, when you shoot yourself, like there, even though like, you know, you may not always be taking the picture, like someone else could take it, but like people are gonna associate that with your abilities and like, you know, how like dedicated you are, what your style is, like, so try to keep that in mind as well. And then, you know, lastly, like just be patient with yourself while you're learning things. You know, like there's a lot of things to learn about photography that, you know, a lot of people don't think of when they first start. And you may just be seeing people's stuff like, wow, it just looks so much better than mine, I'll never be there. But like then as you go, you realize like, oh, like I'm learning this about lighting, I've learned this about angles, oh, I got a new lens, oh, I just saw this YouTube video, you know, like I can, you know, like definitely like be patient with yourself. Also, and this is probably my most important thing, is reach out to other photographers, be them amateur, professional, in the middle. Because, you know, one, you want to make those connections, you want to have friends that you can call on, you know, you can take pictures of them, they can take pictures of you, you guys can practice, you can collab, you can vent, you know, you can just understand. You can do business ventures together, you know, you can just go out and have fun. It'll remind you of like why you probably started doing photography in the first place, just for the fun of it, you know. And then also it can help you expand your exposure and, you know, your networking. So yeah, and then also learn new things. Like you can learn so much from other people, you know, like there's no one way to do photography. Like it's all up to, you know, your own style, your own aesthetic, your own goals. So if y'all want us to connect with me, my Instagram is A underscore is Blake. So that's AYEEE underscore is Blake. I have a website, it's blakebonaparte.com. And then yes, I'm open to taking clients. I'm always open to taking clients. So hit me up on, you know, Instagram. That's the best way to reach out to me. So